appreciate your time and joining me today. Um, I'm a big fan of the show. We've talked before on some of the carpets, and so it's really nice to catch up with you and other some of the other cast members to kind of wrap it up as we're heading closer and closer to the finale. What have you thought so far of this season? It's been quite the season for you.
First, let me say thank you for taking your time to just have this right here. This is special for me, so I appreciate that, man. Using your platform, um, man. This season has been very emotional. Of course, right, all the way around the ending, the depth of all of these characters having to come to an end at such a zero. I mean, 100 miles to zero like that, and that's a lot, but that happens in real life. And I think that's the beauty of writing from the standpoint that Elgin comes from. Is just fucking like life is like his biggest thing is this is the greatest, most beautiful, saddest fucking show on TV. You know what I mean? It was the best. I was like, oh wow. I couldn't believe the way he said it because it was true. Because telling a true story in like real life, like it's not always Cinderella-ish. You know what I'm saying? There's not always that sweet ending. Like life happens on life's terms. That could be magical and beautiful, or it could just be like heartbreaking and lessons learned, and you pave your way as you level up in life if you're able to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I think that is so grit with this Mayans. You know what I mean? That was missing like the first half of when we first started the show. There was like it was beautiful writing, but the truth was missing almost. Like the authenticity of the life of the MC. If you rub shoulders or met individuals, man, it's a lot of beautiful souls. You know what I mean? That may or may not have went left instead of right. So I think it's beautiful to be able to tell individual stories that may or may not get the light of day to even be seen. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Sorry to jump around with that, but it's been that's how emotional it's been.
No,
As far as this last season.
it's great you mention it that way because one of the conversations you and I had before was about humanizing people that are kind of in this lifestyle. But
Yeah.
in Elgin's and to Elgin's credit and to your guys' credit for your job in bringing these characters to life. Yes, these are humans, but there's consequences for your actions. And yes. This season is just unraveling all of those. I mean, from characters that you may not even think of, Sarah's character, Carla's character, and obviously within one of the big ones, because I remember earlier in the season, when they tell you, it was Easy's the rat. You're like, no, but then you remember, you're like, oh, season one. I was like, that's right, and it's all coming back together. How satisfying is that for you to see that yes, we've seen the human side of these characters, but they're also doing bad things. Now it's time to pay the piper.
That's the aspect I believe of life, the authenticity of life. Like life comes when it comes, right? So if you have to face the reaper, that's what some call you, right? Karma. You know what I mean? Karma's a bitch. You know what I mean? If that's how it comes. And then some people live that fairy tale life where you're like, how the hell do you live that life and you were living like this? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't add up. But I think that's life, right? It's not, as like they say, life's a bitch or it's not fair. But that's, you get to write these letters. I mean, you get to write these words on a paper, and our struggles that he's chosen, some of us that have lived or not lived it, are able to bring those truths. So that kind of like that question is beautiful because everything you do, there's a consequence for it, right? Especially in the state of California. If you're a documented gang member or you're a documented somebody that stands up against any type of law enforcement, comes from poverty or whatnot, and a lot of people consider some of the MCs like that, right? They'll consider it gang, which they're not. They're a family or however they consider that, right? But in California, they still put you in this box. So they want you to climb out to prove yourself every time you make a mistake, rather than just being seen as a human that made a mistake. No, you're in a box, you're a gang member, oh, you're an outlaw, you're a drug addict, you're a dope fiend, right? Which in all cases, right, those may be truths, but it's like you're still a human. And if you actually push through and actually try to heal whatever's broken you, and you actually make the changes of redemption, man, bro, that's the beauty. But then if you don't and you say fuck it and you commit more crime, and yeah, you end up in prison, those are the consequences, right? So it's like, that's again, and I'm not to get away from that question, but it ties it right back into life on life's terms. And I see it, that's the way I believe it, how Elgin is just introducing, and all the writers, not just Elgin, but Elgin just overseeing that. Like, it's just, life isn't told like that. It's usually told from the hero standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's usually told only from that, right? We want to send a certain message, but fuck, we got to be able to tell the truth. We got our people out there living these crazy ass lives. Like, nobody's talking about this. Am I the only one living like this? Is there hope for me to change this? Can I get out of this? Is this a bad life? Even though moralistically, you know it is, but you still struggle because there's 50, 60, 100 of us living this way. We all can't be wrong, right? You know what I mean? Like, you start to question this, but when you're able to put it out on a platform as Mayans is, and yeah, it's not all true, right? But you're able to give hope and similarities rather than differences, bro. Sorry to get all into that, but that's what I believe, because that our people can see, man, you know what? You are worthy to change, or you can say F it and live that life. But you are real. What you go through is real, and it is real because look, on this platform, there's other people in the world that feel what you feel. So you're not alone, and that may inspire somebody to completely change their life for the better.
Yeah, then that's important. Yeah, don't apologize for your answers. It's a privilege to be able to hear, your perspective from it, from these characters, because so many fans week to week. I love going on social media and just seeing how excited everyone is to continue to follow on. So to get your insight on your opinions on how the story is told is something wonderful, to be real. Now, I'll be honest, at the beginning of the season, I doubted you for a second. I was like, is he gonna become an informant? I was a little I was a little worried, but of course that got course corrected real quick. Tell me a little bit about your reaction to, finding out, the last few episodes from the beginning of the season to even this week's episode, which to me, we'll get into that in a bit, where it's your funeral, and then finding out that that's the path you were going to take.
When we first started, me and Elgin, we sat in a coffee shop in Silver Lake and we talked for hours, man, hours. And we spoke and we got to get to know each other, man, on such an emotional, beautiful, spiritual level that doesn't happen too often, especially so spontaneous, so fast, but so organic, right? And that was like, you just feel, it's like when it's kind of like the hairs will stand up on the back of your head when you're someplace and it makes you stay aware, right? It keeps you aware. It was like that good energy with him from the gate. And it was just breaking it down of what Creeper meant to him, who it was about, who it was written about, what were the similarities between Joseph, and what was to come, and the vision. And I never in 1,000 years would have envisioned it this way, brother. You know what I'm saying? But it was exactly this way, how he said it, but just all the beauty on top of it is just like, I visioned it, but wow. You know what I mean? And it was, when it came to this last season, when we chose to end the show, that is when this came, and this is when what is happening to Creeper. Pretty much it was set up by last season, but
Mhm.
that all comes because it was the end. And just for it to be told the way it's been told, I think is amazing. I couldn't do what Creeper did because I'm a father now, so I'm going
Mhm.
home to my kids, right? But Creeper's a fucking superhero in that lifestyle
Mhm.
because he sacrificed his life for loyalty, but it's a lot deeper than loyalty, because when you break down the loyalty, it's the love and the compassion that you do not have for yourself. so you have it for the next person even more, because, and I'm not going to lose you for nothing, because I love you more than I love myself, even though I don't even know that, right? And I think that's the beauty of Creeper. But then he found a woman that he loved, he opened up, and she betrayed him too, right? And like everything in his life, and he knew better than to open up. He's known that his whole life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't open up to women. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what we don't do. Like, that's, you don't open up to nobody as a man, blah, 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 right? So that, but that was the beauty of having that unfold, but to show the vulnerability, the true vulnerability of that masculine man Creeper was. He was just, he had, I think he had more love and compassion in his heart than actually to be a killer. He was the conscience of the whole club. Throughout the whole series, he was the conscience. He always from the gate leveled out both sides, no matter if it was for the club or not, which he was for them, period. But he always had a conscience, and that was fucking beautiful. Because that was the silence of Creeper, like the first 3 seasons, was like he was the conscience because he was sober. He wasn't emotionally attached. He was never clicked up with anybody. In the beginning, you've seen Coco, Gilly, Angel, JD, when they were calling him the Boy Scout. Like, you had cliques even within our own. Creeper's always been by himself all the way to the end. And that was amazing, because he's such a loyal dude. I would have thought I would have been like, I would have had a road dog or two, or one of them would have been my boys, like Joseph, but Creeper, none. It was so loyal to the club that he couldn't get close to anybody, because he understood that their shit would become his shit, and he'd become loyal to them rather than to the club. It's amazing the way that Elgin's just genius, bro. Genius.
Well, yeah, a lot of credit to Elgin, but you still got to bring that to life. Where do you tap into in order to be able to portray somebody, so with that, hard exterior, but also with that amazing heart?
Ooh, oh man. That was I've put a lot of people that I love through some pain. And some people I love the most, bro. And you can't say sorry, and saying sorry doesn't mean as much as being able to show it. And I just hope that by healing myself and being the man that I am today, that you're able to bring light by just being as transparent as you can. We all want to be tough, right? Because we hurt inside. It's the only reason I wanted to be tough. I'll just personalize it. There was something missing in me. And I looked everywhere for that shit, bro. I looked everywhere. And I found it. I found it with my homies. I found it with my boys. And that was the only thing I had to feel good about myself. But it took me down a dangerous, destructive, very violent road that I'm grateful for, in the sense of it's made me who I am today. And I just thank God for just being alive, man, and the opportunity to stay open-minded. So when I hit rock bottom, and there was somebody there to help me and just believe in me for that moment, so I could take that step forward rather than giving up. And I've been able to heal that one day at a time since then, bro. And it's been a lot of years, and I got 3 beautiful kids, and I've got some beautiful things in my life. But I don't let that shit go for nothing. And that's what I tapped into. But Elgin, we had this conversation, and he was like, bro, because I wanted to show everything I could. I've always been an athlete. Like, I wanted to play pro ball. I love animals. Like, that's who I am inside. And I would tell Elgin this shit, bro. And then he was like, yeah, I got you. He was like, don't trip. And I was like, it's hard to trust. And that was the first thing I had to learn with Elgin, was trust. And he was like, I'm going to show the real you. I'm going to show Joe. That's what I want to show, is Joe. And I didn't understand that, because I want to show your chops, your acting chops. I want to show what I can show. I want to show range. I want to go here. I want to go there. And he's like, but I'm going to show Joe. And now I understand, because I've seen these fans and these comments, and these people that they try to Like they tell me these things, bro. I'm not worthy of that shit. I didn't do anything for them like that. Like, and that shit fucking it fills me as a man, dog. Like to see them get hope because I know I've seen people kill themselves. I've seen people like not give a fuck about life, bro. For the smallest shit to us, but it's money. It's fucking heavy for them. So I think this shit is bigger than that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing is just huge. You know, Elgin has lived experience. I've done some bad things, but I got a great heart, man. I love people, bro. You know what I mean? And somebody believed in me and they helped me heal. And I'm gonna fucking help others heal, dog. And I think that's what's most for me with tapping into that pain. These are not sad tears, bro. These are tears of joy. I'm fucking proud to be here on this with you to talk about this process. To not only show my kids that I've changed, to show Elgin that I trusted you, bro, and you did that, but to also show the world that we cholos, cholos in the hoods, cholos in the hoods, whatever, bro. You know what I mean? Like kids in the hood, you make it. You can make it. You can make it. Women, whatever you're going through, if you keep pushing, you can make it, man. And I think that's fucking powerful because as a little boy, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to be on, Silver Spoons and Facts of Life. Like I wanted to be on TV because that family felt like real, like that. Okay, there's a mom, then there's a dad there. Like I wanted to be that, so I always wanted to tell a story. So I hope I can inspire a little boy or a little girl, bro.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not about what happened in our past. It's about being able to learn from it and teach others to hopefully not make the same mistakes that we made in the past. And that's how we progress, I guess, as a society, and giving them hope to some people that maybe didn't have hope on television. Being able to see
Right.
characters like yours, it could inspire, and it has a lot of people out there to change some paths that they're going through, and in the end, it's all for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all you can hope for. That for me, it's just trying to be able to whatever. If it's one person, it don't matter. Even if it's just my kids, you know what I mean? But I look at our kids and I'm just like, man, that's the one moment that they should be protected and shouldn't have to hurt. It shouldn't hurt to be a kid, bro. When we
Hmm.
get older, we become adults. It teach their own, right? But as a kid, I don't know. But
There's something I gotta ask you. When we lost talked on the carpet of the last season, you had said that the first episode was going to be very difficult for your family to see. I remember that very clearly. It came to my mind, and I was watching. Been I've watching a couple episodes with you this season, and not even 2 weeks ago when the stabbing actually occurred, but this week's episode where the club held your funeral. Um, is that something that maybe they stayed away from, or is that something they watch? How is that for you to watch?
so I spent my life trying to get out of prison. When I walked away from the life and I found out, I'm coming home to my son. Any man that goes to jail, that's the one thing they want to do is come home. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing you don't want to happen is what you see, happen in the opening, of this season, right? Episode one, Tree Creeper he takes that stabbing. And then ultimately that's his demise, right? In the same fashion, that stabbing, that he's still in prison. Like you almost get out, and that's me and Elgin talked about that. Those are triggers. You know what I mean? Because being incarcerated, any inmate wants to go home, no matter if they have a family or not. You want your freedom, right? I had a son out there that I didn't know and hadn't held and just loved, kissed, and anything, and that was my motivation to come home to. And he told me this time you're not going home to that. So that I've been home 20 years when we started shooting this season. April 8th was 20 years when I walked out of that prison door. And so that we fucking shot that last scene a week, literally my death scene a week before April 8th. It was like March 29th or 28th. It was that we actually shot that stabbing scene on the phone in the actual prison, Wayside prison. at like till like 4 a.m. You know, so it was, but so that was very emotional per se, you know. So that, but that hit a lot of triggers. But the beauty part about that is I was able to kill off that person as well, if that makes sense. Because even though I walked out of those prison walls, like there was still kind of like this ghostly feeling there. You always give this worry about going back. It's because, you know, the way the system is, you get pulled over, it could be for anything, you know, anything can happen these days. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. And you can be in prison. For me, in my head, that's my insecurities because that's how it's been my whole life. Whether I'm doing 1,000 things correct, it doesn't matter. In my mind, something's always going to go bad. And so that was when Creeper dies, I was able to give that up. But it did trigger because I've been shot and I have been stabbed, right? The shooting opening scene of the whole series, Creeper gets shot. And we had a viewing party at my house. My daughter, bro, my youngest, Evelyn, comes flying up to my leg and squeezes me. And I was like, oh, in front of like 20 people. And I didn't realize it's the scene with Creeper and Riz when they jack us and the truck goes flipping over and Creeper runs out. And I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? And Creeper gets shot. But we know it's Hollywood. They don't. And my daughters, they know that I've been shot in real life. So that was a trigger. But my daughter this time, she went to the premiere. And that was hard for her. She said it felt weird. Even my son last night, he was like, "It's Dad." He's like, "Dad." He goes, "I know you're not. It's not you, but to see you in that coffin," he was like, "Just wasn't cool." You know what I'm saying? Like it's. He was like, "I didn't think it was gonna bother me, but yeah." You know what I'm saying? I had a couple people call me, Joe. Hey, I just wanted to hear your voice. Damn, that scene, bro. You fucking died, dog. Like you played that to the end, like those little breaths you did, dog. Those like I believe you were dead, and I was just like it melts you, and you're like, nah, dog, I'm here. I just seen you yesterday. Like, what's up, bro? And he's like, but I had to call because I just look. He sent me the like 4 or 5 people screenshot. They've got Creeper out, and I'm just like, but it's so humbling that wow, that I did that. Like whatever I brought in that moment, you believed, and these are my friends, like that know me, like my biggest critics. So it was that's awesome. Not to jump around on that. Sorry about that, but to take it back in, it did trigger. It triggers a lot. But we're real open with the conversations with my family, so it's not like it's like that taboo, not talked about, and then bam on TV. Oh no, Dad's been shot, and then it's like this. You know what I mean? Like the elephant in the room. No, we have conversations, which I believe in these moments have allowed it to be a little bit easier and to flow as a conversation. You know, especially for my kids, their daddy has been shot and stabbed. You know, um, hopefully that answers a little bit.
No, there's a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Um, Joseph, I gotta say, like I've had such a pleasure with speaking with you, Frankie, Carla these last few weeks, and it means a lot to me personally because I love this show, and I continue to speak its praises and to know just how much you guys all put into it, and how how much Elgin made sure that you guys personally each were involved with your characters, especially now in these later seasons. It means a lot to me. And so I just want to end by saying thank you for your time. Thank you for your performance. And always thank you for being so open and willing to talk to me and, just bring out even an emotional level that sometimes you don't get to see.
Oh man, thank you, man. Just thank you for everything. You've been there. You know what I mean? Like you've seen my daughter. You know, red carpet. Like that's my life, brother. So I'm just so appreciative for allowing me to be me on your platform, man. You know, and change is possible one day at a time for anybody and everybody, man. It's not just for the gang member or whatnot. It's everything, relationships, life. You know, if you're still breathing, if you're still happy, you can live it. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys love this last season. All my brothers and all my sisters. Oh, let me leave you with this, please.
Mhm.
Because and I gotta put my son on Front Street on this one. Because me and him, we went at it in the season 1 with JD when I first like got to know JD, and he was a prospect, right? In the first, and they were at the end of the day, they were like, he doesn't have no range. He can't do this. And in my mind, I'm like, he's a prospect. He can't show any range. He's got like and I would argue with them. And then now I'm able to be, and I just look at it, they're like, dude, last season is like going up, and they're like, man, this season's so dark. And I just sit back and I'm like, I told you guys. And I just have to shout out, man. That's been a solid, beautiful leader. JD Pardo is by far has taught me that that man is real. I mean, off camera. Yeah, that dude is a 100% leader, man. I wish him the best, and it's awesome, man. You find beautiful people in this industry, keep them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was directing last season as well, a couple of those episodes, writing as well. So, yeah, I have to agree with you. Your entire cast is amazing.